Good afternoon. The California Commission on Disability Access Checklist Committee is now called to order on Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. Presley, can we start by doing some housekeeping?
Yes, thank you, Chair Commissioner Dillard. This checklist committee meeting will be on Zoom via teleconference and held at the California Commission on Disability Access, CCDA headquarters, located at 400 R Street, Suite 312 in Sacramento, California, 95811. Virtual attendees are in compliance with the Bagley-King Open Meeting Act. Please remember to specify the following. If a state body member attends a meeting via teleconference from a remote location, they must disclose any other individuals 18 years or older present in the room, as well as their relationship with them. The visual appearance of a member of the state body on camera may cease only when the appearance would be technologically impracticable. Public comment on matters not on this agenda is taken at the beginning of the meeting. Public comments on matters on the agenda will be heard as the commission takes up agenda items for discussion. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Speakers who utilize translators to make public comment will be allotted no more than 6 minutes unless they utilize simultaneous translation equipment. CCDA is precluded from discussing matters not on the agenda. However, CCDA members may ask questions for clarification purposes. This meeting is being captioned and recorded. To assist in this effort, please state your first and last name each time you speak and speak loud and clear. The StreamText live captioning link has been included in the chat for your use, and staff can provide the link when asked. Public participants can use the raise hand function to alert the committee of when they would like to speak, and will also give an opportunity for public members who have called in to the meeting, at which time they can unmute themselves. If you are attending this meeting via teleconference, please press *6 on your keypad to unmute or mute yourself. If you would like to alert the CCDA, press *9 to telephonically raise your hand and the staff will call on you. To use the raise hand function, please follow these steps. Using Zoom via web browser, first click on the icon labeled Reactions in the toolbar on the bottom center of your screen. After clicking Reactions, a new window will show on your screen. At the bottom right of the screen, there will be a button labeled Raise Hand. Using Zoom via mobile device, click on the 3 sideways dots labeled More. The More option is in the toolbar on the bottom right corner of the screen. After clicking More, a new window will pop up. Press Raise Hand. Please remember to mute yourself if you are not speaking in order to reduce noise. If you are having technical issues throughout the meeting and need assistance, please use the chat function to alert CCDA staff or email ccda@dgs.ca.gov. If you're unable to utilize the chat function to alert staff, please unmute yourself and request for permission to speak. If there are technical issues that impact the proceeding of the meeting, the body will take the following procedures. 1, stay calm and reassure. Communicate to all participants that technical issues have occurred and CCDA staff is working to resolve them. 2, backup communication, alternative messaging to all participants, mass email communication from the CCDA staff or our email. Attempt our technical reboot. CCDA staff will attempt to resolve technical issues. And 4th, adjourn the meeting if technical issues persist and compromise the meeting's purpose. The meeting will be adjourned and may be rescheduled if necessary. I will pass it back to you, Chair Commissioner Dillard.
Thank you. At this time, I want to go into the agenda, but before we do that, I want to just go real quick over the agenda items and then go back and do each one. The first one is to call order. Number 2 is the approval of the minutes. 3 is comments from the public or issues now on the agenda. 4 is new committee members and DSA representatives. 5 is committee focus for 2024. 6 is accessible parking campaign toolkit. 7, multilingual educational materials. Number 8 is 2024 webinars and future plans. Number 9 is CCDA Facebook and YouTube channel. And the last one, number 10, is CCDA listening forms. So at this time, we will go into agenda item 1, call to order, roll call, housekeeping. Presley will now lead us in roll taking and taking the roll. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Dillard. This is Presley. I will start with Commissioner Drake Dillard,
Present.
Vice Chair Commissioner Brian Holloway, Vice Chair Commissioner Brian Holloway,
We're told he's on his way. Is that correct?
Committee Member Richard Holleran, Committee Member Richard Holleran, Committee Member Ike Naji, Committee Member Ike Naji, Committee Member Beth Maynard,
Present.
Committee Member Mendy Shanab.
Close enough, present.
My apologies. Committee Member Bill Zelmer,
I'm here.
Committee Member Alicia Chavez.
Present.
All right, and with that, we do have quorum. I will pass it back to you, Commissioner Dillard.
Thank you. If there are members of the public in this meeting who wish to identify themselves, you may do so now.
Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication in the chat.
Thank you. There's no further comments. We will move into agenda item 2. Approval of the minutes. If everyone has a chance to look at the checklist committee meeting minutes, I would like to hear if there is any questions. After which the committee and the public comments, I will ask if there are motion to approve the minutes. So at this time, I'm requesting comments from the minutes. First, there are the checklist committee members attending virtually on this agenda. We will hear from you first.
Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication in the chat.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the checklist committee members attending in person on this agenda? And I believe there's 2 of us here right now. And I don't want to rush. How are you? But we do not have any comments at this time here. Are there any comments from the checklist committee members attending in person? We just went through that. Third, are there any comments from the public attending virtually on this agenda item? I know Bill's out there and some other members out there. Any comments?
No comments from me, Bill Zelmer, Sutter Health.
Are there any comments from the public attending in person on this agenda item? And in the room in person, there is no one. And I will now prefer to Presley for a roll call to vote for the checklist committee members.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Dillard. This is Presley. I will start with the roll call. Commissioner Dillard,
Yes. Present.
Commissioner Holloway, Commissioner Holloway.
We'll approve. We're approving. So yes.
Oh, okay, got you. Sorry, I didn't hear that well. On to the next. Bill Zelmer,
I approve.
Richard Holleran,
Present.
Ike Naji, Beth Maynard,
Yes.
Mendy Shanab. Was that
Yes.
a little better?
Mehdi Shadia.
Shadiab, I got
Yes.
you. Shadiab, okay. And then Alicia Chavez.
Can abstain since I wasn't here for that meeting.
All right, awesome. I have noted all the votes and I will pass it back to you, Chair Commissioner Dillard.
Thank you. We'll now move to agenda item 3, comments from the public on issues not on this agenda. If there's any comments from the public on the issues that are not on the agenda, first, are there any comments from the public attending virtually on this agenda who would like to make comments?
Chair Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the public attending in person on this agenda? There is no one here in person. Hearing none, we will move into agenda item 4. The checklist committee meeting. Agenda item 4, new committee member and DSA representative Alicia Chavez. I'm going to refer to the executive director, April Dawson Rawling, for introduction of this new CCDA committee member.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Dillard. This is April. I'm just really excited to present Alicia Chavez as the new checklist committee member. I had the pleasure of introducing her to our Education and Outreach Committee as a new member as well. Historically, we have had a division of the state architect, or DSA for short, liaison at our at the subcommittee level. And I'm excited that Alicia is continuing in that tradition, representing the division of the state architect at the subcommittee level for the California Commission on Disability Access. Alicia brings a lot of experience on the California Building Code and all of the issues that pertain to the work that we do. I'm going to let her say a little bit more about herself in a moment, but I just want to say that the reason why it's so important that we have this relationship and this liaison between CCDA and DSA is because we always make sure that our technical documents and our webinars and our social media posts related to the California Building Code and other things under DSA's authority match what the DSA would like having represented. And so we want to make sure that we stay consistent in how we explain the code to our stakeholders and how we explain access issues to our stakeholders. And Alicia will also be helping as we develop new technical materials and revise and bring up to current standards our older technical materials. She is going to be a really huge in-house content expert for us. I'm also excited that we have our own Teams chat between her and DSA management and CCDA staff so that we can share documents and prep for these types of meetings. So with that, I'd like to welcome Alicia. And would you like to say anything about yourself, Alicia? Not to put you on the spot.
Oh, no, absolutely. I was prepared. I thought you might ask that. So I'm happy to be here. A little bit about myself. I'm a registered architect in the state of California for about the 19 years or so. This fall will be 20. I'm a CASP candidate. So I'm working on that. And I'm a senior architect here at DSA headquarters. And I have experience in the private sector for about 27 years, working on single family housing, multifamily housing, mixed use, civic work, healthcare, education, K-12 and higher ed most recently. I've worked on all kinds of construction, tenant improvements, school campus replacements, modernizations, alterations, access barrier removal. So I've kind of done a little bit of everything, but I also just want to say I'm looking forward to contributing to this group and the important work that CCDA is doing. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I'll pass it back to you, Chair Commissioner Dillard, if you'd like to say anything else about Alicia joining us.
Yes, thank you. Well, welcome, Alicia. I look forward to working with you. I'm an architect as well, so I have 1,000 questions for you, but we won't go there now. But are you originally from California? Are you?
Oh, yes. Actually, I am from California. I grew up in Sacramento. I'm a local I'm a local, went away for college to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Got married, lived down in Southern California for a few years, but moved back to Sacramento when we decided we wanted to, settle down, buy a house, have kids, that sort of thing. So I've been back in Sacramento, my hometown, for the last 24 years.
Okay, very good, very good. Any time in Los Angeles at all?
No, I was in the Ventura. I was kind of in the Central
I see.
Coast.
I was just trying to see if maybe we had met somewhere, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay. So at this time, first, are there any comments from the checklist committee members attending virtually on this agenda items? You'd like to make any comments?
I would like to tell Alicia, welcome to the committee. This is a fabulous committee. I've been a member for at least, I guess, a good number of 6-7 years. I believe the time is escaping me. Wonderful people. You gain a lot of knowledge here, and you will enjoy it. I absolutely guarantee it. Welcome.
Welcome, Alicia. So grateful to have you here. I know I've worked with you a little bit, and I'm glad that you're a part of this.
Thank you.
Hearing no one else, I would now go into, are there any comments from the public attending virtually on this agenda item? I'm sorry, I think I missed the checklist committee. Let me go back. Are there any comments from the checklist committee members attending in person on this agenda item? And there's no one here, so we can go past that. Third, are there any comments from the public attending virtually on this agenda item? No. And fourth, are there any comments from the public attending in person on this agenda item? I don't see anyone. So thank you and welcome again. We're going to go into agenda item 5, committee focus for 2024. And again, our Executive Director, April Dawson Rawlings, will give us the discussion on that.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Dillard. This is April. Well, I'm happy to have everybody here today. Welcome. And as you all know, the purpose of the checklist committee is to advise the commission on ideas for technical training and materials that we will need to disseminate to our stakeholders. So, for example, this committee, gave birth to the idea of what our APC toolkits look like, as well as a lot of our checklists, such as our construction toolkit. Our construction checklist that we did in 2020, and some of our other one-pagers and toolkits and trainings that we've done. And so the checklist committee really provides, a valuable resource to the full commission and to our stakeholders about what projects in the technical realm we should be focusing on, so that we're educating businesses on how to be accessible to people with disabilities. And sometimes the checklist committee also branches off into ad hoc groups, such as when we created the 2 toolkit subcommittee groups, which I'll speak of a little bit later. But as far as this agenda item, I just wanted to sort of give that framing of what you've all worked on in the past. I'd like to share a little bit about what the staff plans to bring before you to review. You provide a really important review prior to us presenting final drafts of technical documents and training ideas and materials to the full commission. And so all of you provide excellent expertise. That's an important stopping ground before we go before the full commission and then disseminate our materials. And so I'm going to share a little bit about what we plan to bring before you. And then I'd also love to hear from all of you, as well as members of the public, on what you think, in addition to staff's vision for what you'll be working on this year, what you'd like to work on in the next year, what your focus should be. So for this year, what we're planning to bring before you at the staff level is continued monitoring of the accessible parking toolkit, particularly the outreach phase. And I'll be talking about that in the next agenda item. giving us ideas for what stakeholders we need to make sure we're including, plans for making sure that we keep the toolkits up to date, things like that. Also, in the future, you will be presented with a draft of the business listing that the full commission approved to be created. So staff is working on that draft, and at a future meeting, you'll be talking about the business listing. And that is going to be a short document that'll talk about the top 10 disability access violations that, according to our recent data, and some suggestions for businesses so that businesses can look at that and see what are the hot topics and how they could take that back to their team to make those improvements. Also, staff is in the early stages of developing a toolkit for businesses on how to make their websites accessible to people with disabilities. So we will be creating that draft and that process, and you'll be involved in that. And also, I'll be talking about this a little later in our meeting, but talking about input on our social media and our videos. So many of you in prior meetings have spoken about how excited we are to have our social media pilot. And many of you have created ideas for how we can do things like, share out the access boards, visuals, some ideas for how we can share out technical documents and technical information, but in a fun and interesting way that businesses can grab onto. And so we'll be talking a little bit about that. And so that is what staff is going to be bringing before you over the next few months and what's left of 2024. And now I'm going to pause and let Commissioner Dillard facilitate a conversation about what else you may be interested in us working on. Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, we're going to allow time for the committee to make any comments that they might want to make. Please identify yourself, and we will allow you to speak. This is virtually for anyone on the agenda on the checklist committee.
Chair Commissioner Downey, Chair Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication.
We will now do the same for the checklist committee members to identify themselves as well. And we have members virtually, and we also have members in the room. So we could go with either one of those. And we would also allow time for the public attending virtually on this agenda item to speak.
Chair Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication in the chat.
And I'm going to go past the fourth one, which is comments from the public attending in person, which we know there's no one here at this time. But if I understand correctly, Executive Director, we're going to talk a little bit more about these things as well. So
Yes.
we have another opportunity to talk about it. Going to agenda item 6, which is the Accessible Parking Campaign Toolkit. Chair, I will now have Executive Director April Dawson Rawling for an overview of the commission approved draft. And I am assuming everyone had the opportunity to review that. And we will now hear from her.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Dillard. This is April. And for access purposes, what you have on the screen are the front pages of our 2 toolkits. On the left, it says Guide to Accessible Parking, Business Owners and Operators with our logo. And it shows a group of women of color, one of whom is in a black wheelchair, speaking to an Asian man in a white, I'm assuming a waiter's outfit, and serving them drinks outside in a redwood grove, which sounds like a lovely way to have lunch, in an accessible redwood grove with an accessible table. Let's say that. And then to the left of that picture is a picture of a parking lot with the access symbol in one of the spaces, as well as to the right of that, a ramp. So it kind of shows the accessible path that the toolkit talks about from where you get out of your car to where you need to go. And then to the right of that, it says a guide to accessible parking for the construction industry. And there's a picture of several layered construction industry architectural plans. It looks like they're plan review, maybe plan review documents or architectural drawings about what something should look like. And then it has our logo as well as the state of California's logo, DGS's logo, and at the bottom, the Contractor State License Board logo, because the Contractor State License Board, as I'll share later, endorsed this particular toolkit as well and is helping us with our outreach. So even though I know that many of you have heard me speak at each meeting about the history of how this got started and all the phases, I think for new voices in the room and for transparency, I'd like to go back a little bit to the very beginning. Is this project really started with an assembly bill by Assemblymember Fong 2 cycles ago, Assembly Bill 2917, which mandated the CCDA to do 3 things. It mandated the CCDA to create an accessible parking toolkit, which also talked about exterior passive travel, as well as making sure that we started to collect data on website accessibility. So let's talk a little bit about that. That's not in this agenda item, but just to let you know that in addition to the accessible parking toolkit mandate and education, it also mandated us to start collecting alleged website accessibility claim data in our legal portal, and to present that to the state legislature every year, as we do with construction related disability claims, and asked us to partner with the Division of the State Architect as well as the Department of Rehabilitation, now known as Disability Works California, to educate businesses on how to be accessible to people with disabilities related to their websites. And so I'm going to be talking today about the 2 toolkits. And after AB 2917 was passed, the staff worked really hard to gather first one group of people that later broke off into 2 groups. So there was a group of people, many of you are on this call today or in the audience, who represent several different organizations and groups. Many of you are architects, work for the Division of the State Architect or other branches of the state, disability rights advocates, and others, local municipal government reps and others, who came together to give advice to staff on what should be included in those toolkits. So this all started about 24 months ago. And then when you all met originally, it was decided that there really should be 2 toolkits instead of 1, that we really should have toolkits for business owners and operators, as well as for the construction industry, because many of those groups have, even though many of the code is the same, many of you have different needs and a different focus to how we wanted to present the information. So then those 2 groups were formed and worked for several months with staff. Abigail Ridge and Phil McFall were the main staff on this. Mostly Abby, he's shaking his head. Abigail Ridge was the main staff member on this project with help from Phil, while there was a gap in leadership from the executive director before I was hired. And Abby continued that leadership throughout the end of this project. And in December of 2022, we presented the state architect with the group's initial approved draft, and state architect and Commissioner Ida Claire was able to give us really good feedback. And then we were able to take that feedback and engage with the real estate services division at DSA, and we engaged their consulting services. And we worked with an in-house consultant at RESD over the next several months to incorporate Ida's edits, as well as to re-engage with the groups. And so then a few months after that, we engaged with the groups again, and the groups came back with a few more edits and perspective on those edits from RESD and DSA. And then RESD and DSA and CCDA met again to finalize the toolkit. We gave one more go at feedback to our 2 groups, and then we presented the 2 commission approved drafts that you see before you today that were released on March 20th. And on March 20th, the full commission approved the drafts on the contingency that before we start the outreach phase, we talk with the Education and Outreach Committee as well as the Checklist Committee about the drafts and our plan for outreach. So what I wanted to share with you is this is the opportunity if you have any minor technical or grammatical concerns about the document, please reach out to staff. You could reach out to Abigail or you could voice it in this meeting. And also I wanted to share a little bit about how the outreach is going to go from the staff perspective. And I always say that, you know, even though we're staff, we report to all of you and to the public in the state of California. So please tell us what you think some of our outreach strategies should be. So what we plan to do is after this meeting and after giving a few days to see if we hear back from anyone about any minor technical or grammatical edits, we plan to send the commission approved drafts to our translation service to be translated into other languages. We're also going to order the printing through our state in-house printing service. And then after that, what we're planning to do is we're planning to engage with the contractor state license board, as well as the building official group, CalBO, to work with them on disseminating the construction toolkit in particular to their members and some ideas they have for future engagement. And then as far as the business owners, we're going to be talking with the Cal Chamber and the California Business Properties Association, as well as disability rights advocates, to talk with them about how we can disseminate to those groups. It's also was suggested at the Education and Outreach Committee meeting that we had a few weeks ago that we also make sure we engage with the cities and counties. So I've been in touch with some trade organizations that work with municipal governments to some membership organizations, I should say, of municipal governments to talk to them about these toolkits and how to get them out to their members as well, so that when businesses go to them, when they apply for business licenses, they can see some tips to avoid some pitfalls with accessible parking. We also are going to be making sure that at our listening forums that we talk about the toolkits at our listening forums and give away copies or links to them, and we can have them translated. They're being translated, but if we need to translate them into even more languages, we can do that. And we also will be talking with Cal Chamber as well as several local chambers we have relationships with. And I'm going to pause now and give the floor back to Chair Commissioner Dillard to talk about any other ideas you had for the outreach phase. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to start off by just first saying I think the packages are just fantastic. I think we did a great job on it. The graphics is very good. We were concerned about how long the document would be, and it seemed to be the right size. So I'd like to congratulate everyone and say we did a great job on that. Hearing some of the things you said, I'm wondering, do we want to have a cutoff date in terms of when comments can come back? Because you have a lot to move forward with. So maybe we need to put a cutoff, give people maybe a week or two. I don't know.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Commissioner Dillard. If you could give us comments by early next week, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Also, too, I just made a note here, and I'm thinking there's a way for maybe some of the committee members, they also have copies, so they could also pass some of these out to people they know. I know we're covering a lot of large organizations, but again, I just want to make sure we're covering everyone. So having this available for our members, our committee members, and I know they also know a lot of groups as well, that they could also pass this out to would be great as well. But again, I think a great job, and I really think it's a great package. At this time, I'm going to open it up to comments from the checklist committee members who are attending virtually on this item.
Hi, this is Alicia Chavez. I was hoping to say something on
Yes.
these two packets.
Sure.
Okay, so I had a chance to review them, and they're both fantastic, by the way. I think they're great. I have just a couple of comments, and I could forward. I've marked up the PDFs in Bluebeam, and I can send them off to the staff at CCDA. One of them to do with the, let's see, this is the first one, I believe, is the owners. There's a graphic for the slope, the rise and run diagram, and it's a little bit out of proportion. So I kind of drew the actual size that it should be. I figured if you're going to put this out to the public, that the little triangle should be the actual proportion of the rise and run should be accurate. So I marked that up so that maybe it gets adjusted just a smidge. And the other item was for the construction industry guide. I noticed that on one, you have guide to accessible parking, semicolon, business owners and operators. And I'm wondering if perhaps the construction industry one should be the same, say guide to accessible parking, semicolon, construction industry, just to be consistent with the titling of the two. So they look like they're kind of sister documents. The other thing on that particular pamphlet or guide, I noticed that there's some text that's been cut off on page 3 for the 2 diagrams for the angled and perpendicular parking on the edges. Some of the text was cut off, so you can't see the full verbiage there. And lastly, one last item, I believe, was on the diagram for the parallel curb ramp. In July of this year, an amendment that's going to come be going into effect, where the truncated domes is going to be set back 6 inches from the face of the curb. The diagram that you show has the truncated domes going all the way out to the edge of the curb. So maybe that just needs to be updated to what it's going to be in July. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who on a conference, Zoom call,
Yeah,
would like to make comments?
Sure. Bill Zelmer with Sutter Health. I know we've talked about this a lot. It's an enormous topic, the accessibility thing and the building code requirements and legal requirements. You could go into an extraordinary level of detail. So we could keep tweaking this further and further and further and further to get to that, point of perfection. And I think it's easily good enough. It's a great document. It's probably more important that we get it out there than it is that we keep tweaking it. So, and I've been conflicted. I will say, I'm the kind of person, I want to see what I need to see about some topic in like 2 paragraphs, because that's all I have time for. When I read an email, I can read 3 sentences, and if it's longer than that, I'll put it off for some other day. So having it be even the length that it is, part of me wants to cut half of it out. But I realize that there will be people that will read this in great detail. So I've had to, relax and just accept this is a very good document, and probably should largely leave it alone and get it out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Anyone else?
Yes, good afternoon again. This is Mehdi Shadiab. I totally agree with Bill. Having written numerous documents, I can maybe I've written more than 50, 60 documents and manuals over the course of my 45 years of career, and no document can be labeled as 100% perfect. So I'm exceptionally proud of these documents. I worked on the guide to accessible parking for business owners and operators with my team. I'm very proud of the result. I think we need to get this out as quickly as we possibly can and put it in the hand of public. And then maybe in about a year time, we can come back, and I'm sure members of the public, whomever uses these documents, will have comments Either there are areas that are not consistent, which I doubt, but areas that maybe we can explain more, or maybe we can add more illustrations, then we can come back and tweak it at that moment in time. But as it is as perfectly as we can get it. Let's not tweak it anymore. Let's just close the file on this, put it in the hand of the jurisdictions, municipalities, private companies, and let's put it into use. And then we can come back and visit this in about maybe 6 months to a year. We can decide the time frame, and then we can adjust it accordingly. Thank you.
Welcome. We do have some time for anyone else.
I just wanted, this is Brian, Commissioner Holloway. I just wanted to thank staff for a great job putting these together. The committee really worked hard. We had several outside helpers as part of the committee. So I think it's just really, really proud of what was accomplished here. One thing I was thinking about is that it might be interesting to see, because right now, if you want to have a copy of this, you have to go to the website and print it out yourself. And maybe when we have our regular CCDA commission meetings, we could have 10 or 12 copies already printed out that the members could then take some with them to hand out to other organizations and the public and businesses. Because when I print them out on my printer, not good.
Thank you. And again, is there anyone on the Zoom call? Hearing none, I'm going to move to the last opportunity for the public attending virtually on the agenda item to make comments.
Chair
there is-
Commissioner Dillard. Oh, there
Yes.
appears to be no indication.
Thank you. And there is no one in the public attending as well. So with that, again, thank you. I think we got some clear direction. I'm glad to hear that the committee seems to feel very comfortable with the document, and we will move forward. I'm going to go now into agenda item 7, multilingual educational materials. And again, our Executive Director, April Dawson-Rawlings, will give us an overview and discussion about this material.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Dillard. This is April. For accessibility purposes, on the screen, you have 2 side-by-side images taken from our CCDA brochure. On the left is the English version, and there is a picture of a person who does have a head in the picture, but doesn't have a head here. Has a gray shirt, and I just didn't want to say they were headless. They're not. But just for accessibility purposes, they're wearing a gray shirt and they're speeding down a business's hallway in a quickie wheelchair. And it says, "Want to partner with us?" And there's some verbiage about CCDA, and it says, "Contact us." And it has our vision, which is an accessible, barrier-free California, inclusive and equal opportunities for all, as well as how to contact us. And then on the right is the Spanish version and the same image that I just described. And so this is just an example of our commitment to making sure that all of our materials, our outreach materials, our toolkits, our modules, everything that we put out is translated into multiple languages. And so historically, CCDA has always consistently published our toolkits and one-pagers in English, Spanish, and Chinese. I've stated publicly that I've talked with staff about how we are moving toward the goal of ensuring that all of our documents are translated into the majority of the threshold languages represented through census data in the state of California. And so we are moving toward that. I mentioned several months ago that we've engaged with a language access vendor who is our go-to to translate documents. And so you won't just be seeing the Spanish version that you see before you is just one example, just for a visual. And I want to share also something that we're already doing is that when we go into communities and do listening forums, for example, and other specific outreach to specific communities, starting with the San Jose Forum and moving forward as a practice of how we do business, is that we will always translate the materials related to those events into the threshold languages of that community. Which means that anything we hand out, all of our advertising will always have other language versions of that information, because we acknowledge that business people come from, all parts of California and all parts of the world, and many of the business people we serve are from immigrant communities, or non-English speaking communities, or people who moved here and set up their businesses after they lived in other countries. And so we want to acknowledge that and make sure that just as CCDA has always led the way to make sure that we're accessible to people with all different types of disabilities, that we're also accessible to people with disabilities and without disabilities who speak languages other than English, so that we reflect the community that we serve. So I just want to share that that's our plan, and I'm happy to hear your feedback and ideas if you think that we're missing something, or you want us to think about how we do our translations in a different way. If you have ideas for how we can keep doing a good job at language access, because we want to be right. We want to do right and not be right. So we want to do right and not be right, which means that we know that we can continue to grow in this area. So just let us know how we can improve. Thank you.
Thank you. And at this time, we will allow for comments from the checklist committee members attending virtually on this agenda item. I guess this is the opportunity to let April know right now.
And if there's you can always contact me anytime. This isn't your last chance.
Right, exactly.
Now, this is Beth with the Building Standards Commission. I wonder if, because it's becoming so prevalent now with like the barcodes or the little codes that people put on documents that can actually click right into the website with that. I don't know if that would be helpful on any of these brochures or things like that. It's just a suggestion.
Thanks, Beth. This is April. I also wanted to mention that we're starting to do those QR codes, and I know it's not shown here, but another example is our DAR fund, a one pager about the DAR fund. The Disability Access Education Revolving Fund, we have a little QR code, and we also have a Spanish version of that. And here it is on the screen. It says Disability Access Education Revolving Fund, quick reference guide, and on the right-hand corner has the QRG. So if you click on the Spanish version, it'll go to that. That'll be in Spanish, and then the English version will be in English. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Are there any comments from the checklist committee member attending in person? There is none. And I am going to skip over the last two that I've been talking about for the whole meeting here. There's no one in person, so we're going to move forward with that. Agenda item 8 is the 2024 webinar and future plans. Again, our executive director, April Dawson-Rawlings, will do an overview on this.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Dillard. This is April. For accessibility purposes, we have a flyer, and it says 2024 ADA Business Webinar Series, CCDA and Pacific ADA Center collaboration. It's got the logo of CCDA and the Pacific ADA Center in the top left and right-hand corners. There's a picture of a computer, like a Zoom meeting on a computer with a little graduation cap and some documents. And it lists the dates that I'm going to verbalize in a moment. And it also shows a series of sort of red, green, and like taupe colored storefronts. And it says support local businesses and the word cafe and open, and has some awnings there. So just showcasing some different types of, just Main Street USA kind of thing. And last year, at the tail end of 2023, we partnered with the Pacific ADA Center on a webinar about sort of Disability 101 for businesses. We also collaborated with them on a private training for the city of Sunnyvale. And we liked working together so much that we thought, let's do this again. Let's make this a series. And so our 2024 webinar series in partnership with the Pacific ADA Center, the first one will be on May 30th, 2024, and it'll be a lunch and learn from 12 to 1. And we'll be talking about the intersection of Title I and Title III of the ADA. So if you are a business owner that has questions about how to engage in the interactive process with an employee who has a disability and has disclosed that to you, if you'd also like to learn about Title III, which is the primary title for places of public accommodations, that is the primary title that CCDA works with, you'll be able to sort of see how those two things intersect. And if you have questions about service animals, I know that when I was a service provider in the community, the number one question I would always get is, how do we know something is a service animal? What's the difference between service animals and emotional support animals? What are the questions you can ask? What happens if a service animal is acting inappropriately? Or if I'm a person with a disability, what happens if someone tells me I'm not allowed to have my emotional support animal or my service animal in a business? What are my rights there? And so if you're a business owner or a person with a disability, I encourage you to tune in on May 30th on Zoom. And when you register, you'll have a chance to indicate if you have any language access or accessibility requirements. It will be, we will have real-time captioning. Also, our next webinar after that will be July 18th. And we'll be talking about the ADA in today's world. And so when we talk about the ADA in today's world, we'll be talking about the 34th anniversary of the ADA and some major court cases that have helped shape the ADA, as well as the follow-up to the ADA Amendments Act of 2008. And what that means, what recent rulings have done to shape how the ADA is understood in today's world. And people will have a chance to also share their stories about how the ADA has impacted their lives for the better as well. And that is also from 12 to 1. There will be real-time captioning as a default, and we will also allow you to ask for any accommodations of disability-related or language that you can put in the registration form. Also, September 5th, we will be talking about, several major holidays are just around the corner from that date. And so a lot of businesses have considerations during the holidays where they kind of make some major structural changes to their storefronts, or their displays, how to be disability friendly during the holidays and attract more disability community customers. So for example, maybe if it's a Halloween store, being mindful of your flashing lights, being mindful of your path of travel to go into the store, not trying to pack the aisles too much. Those are just some quick tips that we'll be sharing about holidays and being accessible to people with disabilities. That will also be from 12 to 1 with real-time captioning and other accommodations available upon request. And with that, I will be happy to answer any questions about our webinar collaboration. And please let your stakeholders know about these 3 events. Thank you.
Thank you. This is very interesting. Am I correct to assume that when I first saw this, I thought you were doing it 3 times, but really it's not 3 times the same information. There's a series. So each one will have a different topic discussed. Is that correct?
That's correct. And this is one example of the flyer. That's a great feedback. This is one example of sort of our initial flyer talking about our collaboration and the save the dates, but in subsequent emails and reach outs to stakeholders, we describe each of the individual ones and what they're about too.
Right. Well, yeah, I look forward to getting this out to some organizations that I know of. This would be great for them. But at this time, first, we have comments from the checklist committee attending virtually.
This is Mehdi Shadia. Will there be any CEUs provided for any of these launch and learn presentations? or AIA credits for the architects who need to attend?
Hi, Mehdi. That's a great question. And I can explore that idea so we, I know that CCDA doesn't have the authority to give those out, but I hear what you're saying is that if we partnered with, the AIA or others that give out CEUs, could we make some kind of a arrangement that these classes would count towards CEUs? And that's actually a great idea that I hadn't considered. And so I might reach out to you after this meeting and might reach out to Ida and some others to figure out and to Commissioner Dillard to figure out how we could establish those relationships. So right now the answer is no, but that doesn't mean that since you've made my brain do some somersaults that we can't make that happen for this or future events, because I think that would be really great since so many trade organizations require continuing education units. It would be great if CCDA was an approved vendor to provide those.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, these are fantastic webinars, fantastic, presentations. You will capture more of the professional side, meaning architects or plans examiners or individuals or even CASP who are in need of obtaining CEUs to keep their certification valid. You will bring more audience into the mix. So if that can be explored and can be provided, all for the better.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll look into that right away. That's a great idea.
Anyone else virtually like to make comments?
Chair Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication.
Okay, thank you. Attending in person, there's 2 of us. There's no comments there as well. I'm going to move to agenda item 9. CCDA Facebook and YouTube channel. And again, we're going to hear from Executive Director April Dawson Rawlings.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Dillard. And I am looking at my phone because I want to give you an up-to-date on our followers. So as of March 1st, 2024, CCDA partnered with DGS Office of Public Affairs on a 6-month social media pilot. And CCDA's pilot with OPA is intended to inform DGS about whether or not in the future programs such as CCDA could establish their own social media profiles and ideas for how that could be managed. So prior to our pilot, the only way that CCDA could put ourselves out there was through the DGS banner. And of course, we're proud to be, we're proud to be nested within DGS administratively, but we also, they also acknowledge that we have our own unique voice and we have stakeholders that sometimes it might be better to have our logo aside from DGS's logo. So it's like a win-win, and we can sort of independently put ourselves out there while still following, state guidelines. And so this took us, one step closer to that. And OPA has been a great partner in whenever we want to post something on our Facebook and YouTube channels, we send that in for approval and they approve it usually within minutes. And then we're able to get that information out to the public. So we've been using our CCDA Facebook and YouTube channels over the last few months to do things like, advertise our listening forums, our copies of examples of materials, promoting our programs, and also sharing out information about disability and business information. And so we have 144 Facebook followers and 64 likes. So please like and follow our Facebook and YouTube channel pages. But I actually would like to make this a little more interactive. And one of the things that we want to start posting to our YouTube channel in particular, and also sharing on Facebook, is a series of educational videos. And so one of the long-term goals of the commission that was shared with me pretty quickly after I was hired is that they would like us to have a series of 3 to 5 minute educational videos that build on one another. And so we plan to work with OPA on producing those videos. And we also have gone out to bid for a vendor that could help us translate those videos into multiple languages, as well as audio description and ASL. And I would love the checklist committee's opinion on what some of those topics should be from the checklist committee's point of view. So from your point of view, from the technical lens, what are some ideas that you have? Because in the next few weeks, we'll be submitting a sample script, sample headings and scripts to OPA and having a meeting with them to get the production off the ground for these videos. So just I'm happy to take questions, and I would love your feedback on what we should be sharing in that series. Thank you.
Well, that's very interesting. I was just thinking in terms of how we get the information back to you. And I'm just wondering, we have so many great minds on our committees. And I think that we could come up with a number of ideas in terms of videos. I'm wondering though, should we maybe have a more organized meeting around that versus kind of letting it be up to individuals? I mean, I could see videos dealing with, obviously with parking and showing how things should look and how you might move people through the process. But
Mr. Chairman, I think we have an opportunity right now we could do summarizing videos of our toolkit.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. We just had a technical issue. We will be back shortly.
Huh. Weird.
okay, we're back.
I was just saying, I'm thrilled every time I'm on Facebook and the CCDA pops up. So I'm always hitting it as a like, maybe throw in a comment or something. But it's like, this is great. I'm really liking this, and it's a great idea. And I'm glad we were able to get it executed and out there. I haven't looked at the YouTube yet, but we'll do that.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we will have comments from the members attending virtually on this subject. And we just had comments from person who are attending in person. So we're going to continue to move, but we're looking forward to this. I think it's a great idea, and the possibilities are endless. So move forward. I'm going to go into the next agenda item 10, which is the 2024 CCDA listening form that our executive director, April Dawson-Rawlin, has made reference to this several times. So at this time, we'll get the update on it.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Dillard. This is April. I just want to give a brief history of our listening forums. Prior to COVID, CCDA was known for our listening forums. And so the purpose of those listening forums was to really bring together the business, disability, and local government communities, as well as us at the state level, to brainstorm solutions for how businesses could become accessible to people with disabilities. What are the barriers? What are the opportunities, and how to overcome barriers, and to also facilitate further communication. And I was pleased that last August, we brought back our listening forums for the first time since COVID, and we launched a 3-year initiative to bring those back with a regional focus, as well as through the lens of equity. And what I mean by that is making sure that we were thinking about our language and disability access and reaching out to groups that we traditionally haven't heard from or may have tried to hear from, but we learned more about how to do that more effectively, such as communities of color, languages, people who speak languages other than English, LGBTQI plus communities, and other voices that perhaps we hadn't heard from as plentifully as we would like. And so we launched that in August, and our first one was in San Jose, California. It was very well attended, in partnership of their city's Office on Disability, as well as some county partners in Santa Clara and the local Center for Independent Living, SVILC, and many other organizations representing businesses there. We also had a follow-up webinar to that a few months later, and that was also very well attended. And we then followed that up with a Monterey County listening forum last month. And each of our forums takes on a similar format. We have a training component that's usually taught by either a local CASP, which stands for Certified Access Specialist, or a representative of the state architect's office. We also have a panel discussion where we ask questions of people with disabilities who are local, as well as local business organizations, and others, to talk about how we can solve things at the local level, and also sharing out resources. What are resources that are available at that local level to support businesses and people with disabilities to creating access to business. And then those forums are not intended to be a one-off. They're intended to be a start of a spark of a conversation and work that CCDA does with those communities. And so we've made a lot of investment in San Jose. We're making a lot of investments in Southern California, and to several regions that tend to trend on our data that we submit to the legislature every year. So with that, our next forum will be on June 26th in Orange County, and it'll follow the format that I similarly described. We have partners from the Dale McIntosh Center, which is the local Center for Independent Living, as well as from the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce, and other chambers of commerce who will be attending as well, and sending representatives, such as the Seal Beach Chamber of Commerce. And we also will have a representative of the state architect giving a training, and it will be from 3 to 5 p.m. So many of you who follow our commission meetings notice, oh no, that's the same day as our full commission meeting. Well, that's okay, because it's a twofer. It's sort of like come for the full commission meeting, stay for the listening forum. So it will be at the Hilton Orange County Airport Hotel from 3 to 5 p.m., which will follow a short break after our full commission meeting in the morning. So you'll get to listen to our commissioners, and then our commissioners can stay and participate in the listening forum. So we're really excited about that. And we plan to host at least 4 forums every year for starting this year, and then the preceding next 2 years for that 3-year initiative I spoke about. And then we'll sort of reassess and think about our programming for the rest of our lives. But we like to tie that with the budget years. And so that's why we sort of did a 3-year initiative kickoff. And so I look forward to your comments, and I hope that you will pass on the information to your stakeholders. Again, we will have the opportunity to have CART, ASL, and language access interpreting for those events as needed as well. So we're really looking forward to creating an inclusive space and getting information out there, and helping the community be stronger. So look forward to seeing you June 26th from 3 to 5 at the Hilton Orange County Airport Hotel. We will also be doing a follow-up webinar similar to what we did in San Jose later this year as well, for those who could not attend in person. Thank you.
Yeah. So at this time, are there any comments from the checklist committee members attending virtually?
Chair Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the checklist committee members attending in person? And I don't think there is anyone have any comments at this time. The last two checkpoints here are with the public, virtually as well as in person. But again, I don't believe there's anyone available in the public in either situation. So therefore, I'm going to go to agenda item 11, which is the future agenda items. Does anyone have any future agenda items? I guess this is anyone who have any ideas or subject matters they would like to see discussed or acted on. This is the time. I would like to open it up first to the checklist committee members attending virtually on this item.
Chair Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication.
I think I hear some people thinking. No. Hearing none. If there's any committee members in person who would like to make comments about future agenda items. And there is none. Are there any members attending in person, or actually from the public, sorry, virtually? And also from the public in person, which no one is here? Okay, I'm curious, Executive Director, in terms of future items here. I'm assuming we have enough items to talk about in the future right now, so it's not like an urgent.
No, I think that's just something we want to make sure that we always have that on the agenda, on all the agendas we have, just to make sure that people have a chance to weigh in. But I think going back to agenda item 5, I think you're right, Chair Commissioner Dillard, talking about how we're going to, all of you will be helping us over the next several months on our accessible toolkit outreach phase, the business listing, the web toolkit drafts, input on videos. And to your point, this won't be the only opportunity for you to tell us what videos there will be. And we'll be doing that throughout our lives. As long as we're allowed to have their social media, we'll continue to post those videos. And so I guess for me to throw a curveball, a lot of people ask me, what is the checklist committee? So this committee might want to consider changing their name. I don't know. Might want to, if you all feel like the checklist committee accurately reflects what you all do for us. But a hint, if you don't think that, perhaps that could be a future agenda item, is rebranding. I think because the checklist committee started as a way for the commission used to do a lot of checklists, one page that we now call one pagers, like our 2020 construction inspection checklist. I think that's the history of how this subcommittee got its name. But when I go and talk about the work that you all do, many people don't know what that means. And so maybe it's time for an upgrade. So perhaps rebranding might be in our future. Thank you.
I think this is Commissioner Holloway. I think it's a great idea. The checklist committee name never made sense to me, but I knew where it came from. And so maybe I think we should put on the agenda a more applicable name for the committee and take suggestions and, go through the process of making that change. Okay. I think it's time, past time.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that feedback. That's important. You've been holding that in for I don't know how long, so it's very good. So at this time, we have agenda item 12 to adjourn the meeting. And at this time, is there a motion we adjourn the meeting?
This Commissioner Holloway, I'll move to adjourn the meeting, but I do want to say that you've run a very efficient meeting. I think this is probably the shortest checklist committee meeting with such a long agenda that we've ever had. So I wanted to compliment you on moving us along very quickly. Thank you. And so I'll move adjournment.
And do we have a second?
I second that.
Thank you. So thank you for all your time, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Oh, wait, Commissioner Dillard, I just need
Yes.
to take roll call for the adjournment and then I will
Oh.
pass back to you to end it and we'll
I'm
be all good.
sorry. I did see that there. I forgot it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Let's
no
do a
worries
roll
at all.
call.
I will start with you, Commissioner Dillard,
President,
Commissioner Holloway,
Present.
Bill Zelmer. Bill Zelmer. Richard Holleran.
is he on mute?
I believe he's on mute. His camera's off right now.
Okay.
I'll come back at the end
Okay.
and double check. Ike Naji. Beth Mayard.
Yes.
All right. Mendy Shanab.
My present.
Alicia Chavez.
Here.
And I will go right back. Bill Zelmer. Okay. Well, we do have the adjournment votes passed in, and I will pass it back to you, Commissioner Dill.
Thank you. Everyone have a safe afternoon, evening, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.